Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Dylan's New Nightmare, which is directed by Cecil Laird. Cecil was kind enough to send me the link to the movie early so I could watch it early and do my review. However, I decided just to do a spoiler review, so I didn't want to bring it out early obviously because it's got spoilers in it. So this is going to be a spoiler review, guys. If you haven't seen the movie, then go ahead and check it out on YouTube and then come back to this review. So as the title suggests and the characters suggest, this is a sequel to New Nightmare from 1994. So it's been 29 years, almost 30 years since New Nightmare came out. And I've not really covered A Nightmare on Elm Street on the channel. I wanted to wait eventually for another A Nightmare on Elm Street movie, which hasn't happened yet. So I'm going to have to cover them eventually. But just to let you know, guys, I do love the franchise, and one of my favourites in the franchise, I will need to rewatch them all, of course, but one of my favourites in the franchise and one of my most rewatched ones is Wes Craven's New Nightmare from 1994. I just love that meta aspect of it, and it completely blew me away because I had never seen anything like that before, and it completely blew my mind while I was watching it. And I was watching Robert Englund in the movie playing Freddy Krueger as a real man, and then you had Heather Langenkamp as herself, but with a fake and fictional family within the movie. So it was hard to wrap my head around as a young 9-10-year-old when I first watched the movie. So it was always interesting to me. Obviously, Wes Craven coming back to direct it was also a nice touch. After I watched the Scream movies, I went back to New Nightmare again, and I just felt the Scream vibe because it's just so meta, fresh. And if that movie came out today, you would still be scratching your head thinking, wow, that's original, that's really good. So that shows you how advanced Wes Craven's New Nightmare was. So it's good to see someone wanting to take that leap and go, do you know what? I want to do a sequel to New Nightmare. I'm not doing a sequel to A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not doing a sequel to Dream Warriors. I'm not doing a sequel to Freddy's Dead. None of that. They're deciding, let's do a sequel to New Nightmare. It only makes sense because it was the last one officially in the Nightmare franchise. So it's good to see that progression there. One thing that also is great is having a character like Dylan. When we go back to New Nightmare, you've got a character like Dylan. He's 6 years old or something, supposed to be in the movie, and I could just resonate with his character because he's a young kid, he's getting nightmares, he's scared of Freddy Krueger, and he's scared of Freddy Krueger the character because this is supposed to be set in real life. Again, head scratcher. So I'm like, wow, he's just like me. I watch Freddy Krueger movies. I'm scared of Freddy Krueger. This is fantastic. I've got someone that I can connect with within a movie who doesn't know who I am. So it's great. So when Cecil said, I'm going to be doing Dylan's New Nightmare, I'm like, wow, this sounds great. I wonder who's going to be playing Dylan. And then when they said it's going to be Miko Hughes that's playing Dylan, I'm like, no way. Absolutely no way. Now, Cecil knows this, but one of my favourite actors growing up was Miko Hughes. I absolutely loved Mercury Rising. I loved Pet Sematary. I loved Kindergarten Cop. And I loved, obviously, New Nightmare. So to see Miko Hughes come back on screen again is great. But even better than that is him reprising his role after 29 years as the same character, Dylan. See how he's progressed there. Now, that's very hard to do because it's been 29 years. How do you write a character like Dylan Porter being 29 years older? Is he going to be messed up? Is he going to be normal? You just don't know. However, the possibilities are endless because they hadn't done a sequel to New Nightmare before. So Cecil had the world at his oyster, whatever you want to call it. He had the world at his fingertips, and he decided, let's just bring back Dylan and let's try and get Miko Hughes. So that was the hard part. Once he got his character, once he got his actor, then he could probably start writing what he wanted to do. But the big issue is, who's going to be playing Freddy Krueger? Now, I don't know who the best character would be for Freddy Krueger, and obviously Cecil Laird can't go to Kevin Bacon or Robert Englund and say, hey, do you want to come and play Freddy Krueger? They're obviously not going to respond, or maybe they will. So he has to find someone that is going to be able to do it. Now, as soon as I found out that Dave McRae was going to be playing Freddy Krueger, I thought instantly, that's a fantastic choice because Freddy Krueger, played by Robert Englund, although he's got the facial expressions and Robert Englund is a great actor, one thing you need to have is the voice. And what better person in the YouTube community other than the voice man, Dave McRae, to be playing Freddy Krueger? I knew for a fact that he was going to be absolutely amazing as Freddy Krueger, but I didn't know what he was going to look like. Is he going to be wearing a rubber mask that costs $60 from Trick or Treat Studios? Because that's what a lot of people do wear when they're making fan films. However, no, that's absolutely not the case. Some people actually asked, is that a mask that you're wearing? And it's no, it's not a mask that he's wearing, it's prosthetics that he's wearing. The prosthetics looks absolutely fantastic. And when Cecil said to me, you're going to love the mask, I thought, right, is it going to look like the new Nightmare mask, or is it going to look like a Nightmare on Elm Street mask from the movies? Because New Nightmare, again, is out with the movies. And he said, you just need to wait and see. And when I saw the images of the mask, I knew exactly what he meant. He's got hints of the Freddy mask from the movies. He's got hints from the mask out with the movies. When I say mask, I mean prosthetics. It's out with the movies like New Nightmare. And it's got a little bit of Freddy versus Jason in there as well. So it's got a kind of amalgamation of all the masks put together. Really nice, really very, very, very detailed. You've then got the stance that you need for Freddy Krueger. Now, I'm assuming that Dave must have watched New Nightmare a few times, because when you see Freddy standing the way that he does, it's perfect the way Dave does it. Also, the look of Freddy Krueger, because you kind of need that jacket that he wears in New Nightmare. I'm not sure if he wears it in other films. I don't think he does. But he wears that jacket that he does in New Nightmare, and obviously the hat as well. And just the way that Dave stands, like I said, with the claws and stuff like that, it's perfect the way he does this. So I had no worries with Dave McRae playing Freddy Krueger, because I just knew he was perfect for the role. If we go back to Dylan, what's he been up to? Well, he's trying to be an actor, he's going for auditions and stuff, and that's exactly what we see in this film. Also, he's got a bit of a past as well. He's not fully over what happened way back in 1994. He goes to see a psychiatrist as well. And his mother, Heather Langenkamp, not Nancy, but Heather, she's in a psychiatric clinic, so she's already went insane. And it looks like Dylan could be going that way with what we see in this film, because he's still seeing things. He doesn't know if it's real or fake, etc. So he's still feeling that way, and he's trying to reach out to his mother, but his mother can't be reached. Now, obviously, the way they write Heather in this film is because they probably couldn't get Heather Langenkamp for this movie. But like I said, this is a spoiler review. With the way the movie ended, with Heather on the phone to Dylan, I'm assuming that they could potentially get Heather for a Dylan's New Nightmare sequel. That's the hope, that's the dream for me, and I'm hoping that's the same for Cecil and his crew. Some people watching this film will probably still try to scratch their heads and go, wait a minute, Heather Langenkamp, so what is this? Yes, so you need to remember this is a sequel to New Nightmare, not a sequel to the Freddy movies, but a sequel to New Nightmare. So everybody is a real person in this world, in this universe. Obviously, Miko Hughes isn't playing Miko Hughes. He was one of the only, well, not one of the only, he was a fictional character within New Nightmare. So he's still playing a fictional character in Dylan's New Nightmare within the real world. So it is a head scratcher for some people, and sometimes you have to stop and think about it. And I think Cecil does that great, because he doesn't Cecil doesn't act like he doesn't know. He does it perfectly. And I love how they do the dream sequence with, and it's just like the movies, where Dylan's fell asleep and he's eventually dreaming about Freddy again. And because he's dreaming about Freddy, Freddy's able to come out. And when Freddy comes out, he goes to kill his psychiatrist. And it's nice how they do that, because they give you a little bit of foreshadowing before it. You know, she's clicking her pen when she's talking to Dylan, and that annoyed me. But she keeps clicking it, and I'm like, she's clicking that for a reason, and I know that we're going to see something to do with that pen. And then when Dylan falls asleep that night, he finds the pen in his room, and I'm like, that's exactly why they've done that. So I'm loving it. It's not just a straight out, here's the plot by bit, blah, blah, blah. He's building something up here. He's giving you some clues without telling you, without throwing it in your face with the pen, etc. And that's what good filmmaking is all about. It's not just about making a fan film and just having fun. He's got Miko Hughes on board. You need to be professional. And that's exactly what this film looked like. It looked like a professionally shot movie. The lighting was great. The camera angles were great. When Dylan was waking up from his dream speaking to Freddy, that was fantastic. You had Freddy standing on the wall, which is obviously a bit of camera trickery, and it's probably easy to do, but not easy to execute. So the way that there was a scene where Freddy was standing on the wall looking down at Dylan, and he was about to slash Dylan, and as he was slashing into his t-shirt, Dylan woke up, and the way the camera went was fantastic. And you can see the rip on his t-shirt. That was brilliant. That's something you would see in an actual Hollywood movie. So the fact that they were able to pull it off and execute it the way they did, hats off to you, Cecil. So it sounds like I've got nothing but praise for this film, and rightfully so, because it is fantastic. However, I do have 3 minor issues with this film, so boo me, I have to tell you my issues. And in fact, one of the issues is actually a positive, but I'll get to that one. In fact, I'll do that one just now. The movie's too short. But that's a good thing, because I wanted to see more. What I was seeing on screen, I absolutely loved. And because I loved what I saw, after it finished, I was like, I want to see more. And it's maybe down to the cliffhanger, because Dylan has got a phone call from his mother, who he's not spoken to in ages because she won't take his calls. So when he gets a phone call from her, I'm like, oh. And then it cuts off and I'm like, it's done. So that was disappointing because I was loving it. So even though it's a negative, you know what I'm saying, it is a positive at the end of the day. Another negative that I have is the scene with the psychiatrist where she was clicking the pen. I felt like that scene lasted a little bit too long. So because it is a 27-minute movie without the credits, I want to see it at a better pace. The film's pacing was great. I just think that the psychiatrist scene was just a little bit too long. And that might be down to trying to get to know Dylan's character again, trying to get behind the mind of Dylan, but at the same time, trying to establish this psychiatrist, because we know that she's going to die later on in the movie. So I can see why they've done what they've done. I just felt like because it's 27 minutes long, maybe shave a minute or two off. Not a big issue. That's all I would say about that one. My last issue that I have, and again, this is just a creative issue with words, that's it, is the psychiatric ward or clinic that Heather's in. How cool would it have been if she was in, is it Weston Hills or Weston Hill Psychiatric Hospital or whatever it's called from Dream Warriors? I think that would be a cool nod to Dream Warriors. But what I'm thinking they might do, or what they could do, is in the eventual sequel to Dylan's New Nightmare, which I hope we do get, they could maybe set it in the psychiatric unit, sort of like Dream Warriors, and with them being with Heather having those same dreams at the same time as Dylan, and that's the two of them having it at the same time. I think that'd be quite a cool idea. So to round up the review, guys, the acting was great, the dream sequences were great. Freddy Krueger, played by Dave McRae, was fantastic. Miko Hughes was as brilliant as ever, and he was jacked as shit as well. This guy looks huge. He could probably play Wolverine, to be honest. But anyway, Miko Hughes was fantastic. The direction was great. The cinematography was great. The look, the aesthetic, everything about it was great. See, so I think it is one of the best fan films that I've seen so far. Absolutely fantastic. You completely knocked out of the park. Yes, I had those negatives, but do those negatives even change anything about the movie? Probably not. But you have to give some critique, and that's the only critique I could think of. But anyway, absolutely fantastic. If you haven't seen it yet, guys, then check it out on YouTube. I'll leave the link down below. If you want to see it again, click the link anyway. Just keep watching. I've watched it twice already. I'll probably watch it again. And what I think I might do is watch New Nightmare and then watch Dylan's New Nightmare after it, just to see how it coincides with each other. But anyway, guys, if you've seen the movie, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of it, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back!